This headset was probably the easiest and the fastest one to set up for PCVR gaming, and I was really impressed by that and a few other features. Do you know why so many first-time VR users buy Quest, besides the price of course, is the convenience factor of a standalone VR. Compared to Quest, setting up PCVR headsets is usually a thing of rocket science. Checking PC settings, SteamVR setup steps, arranging and pairing base stations, controllers, and so on can be daunting, and it's extremely overwhelming for first-time VR users. But here's DPVR E4, a new lightweight and comfortable PCVR headset that features inside-out tracking, meaning you don't need any base stations. It comes with its own controllers and a really handy flip-up visor. While I was skeptical at first, this headset does pack quite a few surprises that I'm looking forward to telling you about. Let's talk about E4's specs and physical characteristics first. It's roughly the same size as Quest 2, with the headset being slightly more narrow, but it is significantly lighter. It weighs about 500 grams with the built-in plastic Halo-type head strap. Quest 2, on the other hand, with the Bobo VR Halo head strap, weighs almost 780 grams. But what I want to know is what kind of quality I'll get for this price. E4 features pretty much the same visual specs as Quest 2. Fresnel lenses, same single LCD panel with 1834 and 1920 pixels per eye, the maximum of 120 Hz refresh rate, but uncompressed PCVR visuals thanks to this display cable, of course. While you can still play PCVR games on your Quest or Pico, the video quality will suffer due to the compression from using a USB cable, and that alone makes DPVR visual quality stand out. In addition, it features an improved field of view, which they claim to be 116 degrees diagonal and 94 horizontal, beating both Quest 2 and Pico. Upon testing it, I found that indeed the FOV is very noticeably larger when compared to Quest 2 and just a little bit larger than Pico, so indeed it beat them both. Still, the FOV is not exceptionally large, but a nice step up compared to Quest 2 and Pico, showing a large and consistent oval-shaped display in front of you. But let's talk about lenses some more. One thing that was surprising to me is that the headset has no physical IPD adjustment, meaning that the lenses on this headset do not physically move to adjust to each person's individual eye positioning. I didn't even know that the headset without IPD adjustment exists. I know it's concerning if you don't have that average 64mm distance between your pupils. However, in this software that I installed for this headset, I found a peculiar little setting called IPD adjustment. Turns out E4 has a software-based IPD adjustment, so instead of physically moving the lenses, it digitally manipulates the images displayed to each eye. The images for each eye are shifted horizontally to create the illusion that the virtual environment is at the correct distance and scale for the user's eyes. So, as I was adjusting IPD using this little tool, I was looking at this hexagon and I had to stop when it looked the most natural and three-dimensional. The software adjusted the position of the images to each eye to compensate for the difference in distance between the eyes, even though the VR headset's lens position remained fixed. I cannot tell if this software will work for every user, as personally I have a pretty standard IPD and I had no issues finding the most comfortable and natural position for me. The software allowed the IPD range adjustment between 50 and 80 millimeters, but I would be really curious to see more people trying it out and confirming if it works for them or not. Next question, is it comfortable? Short answer, yes. The moment I saw this Halo-type strap, I was relieved because so far I found no other type of head strap as comfortable as this design. They also included the top strap, which I usually don't find very necessary for Halo, but I still found it quite helpful. It's not a Velcro strap, it is rather a stretchy rubbery strap that is meant to provide some extra support to your head, and I appreciated it. Here's a fun bonus of this headset, a flip-up visor, arguably the best VR design decision for comfort ever made. And another really comfy thing about E4 is that it has this little nudge at the back that holds the cable in place behind your back, and it even has this little thing on the cable to secure it on your clothes. They also added this cool LED strip in the front of the headset on this rainbowy surface that glows with different colors. And you can even change those colors in the software and even use the headset as an equalizer to allow it to react to the music or the in-game sounds. Even though it adds absolutely nothing, neither to the gaming experience nor comfort, it just makes this headset look very aesthetically pleasing. Finally, I'm sure you're dying to know how easy it is to set up and how's its performance. The setup couldn't be any easier for a Pcvr headset. It comes with its own software called DPVR Assistant available on their website. It will automatically initiate the PC configuration test even before the software is installed, and it will let you know if your PC is ready for VR gaming. Super useful for VR newbies. They also have listed their technical specifications and FAQ on their website. Then it will go through the hardware setup tutorial, help you pair your controllers, the headset, and set up the room. Speaking of the controllers, they have a very familiar design for Quest users with a tracking ring that is slightly tilted, a pretty typical button layout, and the controllers are battery operated. So depending on what batteries you use, the controller should last you for a long time. I've mentioned that the setup was super quick and easy. The software walks you through every step in much detail. It was kind of like setting up Quest 2. It even had a pass-through, although with very bad quality. And they conveniently placed the Steam button in the corner, which will run SteamVR on your headset with just one click. For me personally, this was the most painless way to set up and run Pcvr games, and I imagine that this process would be very simple for VR newbies. The inside-out tracking of this headset made me very curious because it would be either a great success or a complete failure if this didn't manage to nail down that tracking. And to my relief, the tracking was, quite frankly, excellent. I never lost tracking, neither in my controllers nor in headset. I even played some Beat Saber songs on Hard and Expert, which is the ultimate controller tracking test, and it worked amazingly. It's such a cool experience to use a headset that's both comfortable, performs well, and displays a very clear and sharp image. True, it's still an LCD panel, so the image wasn't popping with contrasting colors that you would see in OLED or QLED, and displays with local dimming. But you can adjust the display brightness from within the software. Initially, I thought the display was rather bleak and dark before I realized that it was actually set at 20%. I cranked it up all the way to 100 and wow, that looked really impressive. Perhaps even too much for prolonged gaming, so I stopped around 70, which was the sweet spot for me. If you're normally using Quest 2 or Pico for Pcvr gaming, you will definitely appreciate the uncompressed visuals on DPVR E4, and you will never be bothered by your USB cable getting accidentally disconnected or some strange performance issues. I only wish that E4 also offered wireless gaming, but it's not something you can get on this headset right now. But the quality of the visuals, the comfort, and the performance of the inside-out tracking were definitely surprising for a Pcvr headset of this price. As the best value for money for someone new to VR who wants to enjoy the uncompressed quality Pcvr gaming without breaking a bank. It is definitely a good value for money for what you're getting. With a comfortable fit right out of the box, an FOV that's wider than both Quest 2 and Pico, and a much more reliable, pleasant, and easy to set up Pcvr gaming experience.